Oh, hey, look who it is. We got folks in chat. That means I can actually like start doing stuff, which is great. Instead of just staring at my screen trying to fix all my settings. You guys will have to let me know how everything sounds, if it looks okay, if it's too big, too small, what have you. As I am straight broadcasting from my desktop without a micro or without a webcam right now, so. And of course, we've got our guest over here, Radcat, who is 3, not 4, not 1, 3 years old. We've got some mini candy canes to bribe him with if things get out of hand, so that's good. Well, I'm glad that the volume situation can be fixed. Is the bed music too loud? I wanted to have at least something in the background as opposed to just me talking for an hour. Oh, you're not. Let's see if we can turn this up a little bit. There, how's that? Is that any better? A loud thump just might be me. Now, I can't hear my music. What the heck? Oh, we're in between tracks. Hello? Goodness, whoever figured that streaming would be hard. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay, so my volume should be about 0 dB. That's about -30. We should be good. Well, hello to everyone's in chat. I don't have a list of you, so if you want to say hi, I can at least know you're here. But for right now, we're looking for tomorrow's rad ride because I like to prepare these things the night before, make sure that we got really cool stuff coming up. But, you know, with everybody here, maybe we can look at some of the other stuff that we don't normally actually look into. Like a lot of the Euro stuff that's happening out here. I know certain folks would love a Multipla, and we have 3 of those things. Oh, only 2. And the newest one, or the oldest one, is 2003. So, still a ways off, unfortunately enough, but we can always check other to see if anything pops up in here. And of course it doesn't. And I always like to show these off because they do exist. These wonderful beasts of machines do show up quite a bit. They are quite popular in Japan, so there you go. HF Evo Lancia Delta. Just sitting here waiting to go. Starting bid 37, so this will probably go right around 60. But man, what a machine. All right. What up, Oak? Yes, Lancias are just... They're, the good ones are few and far between, but the good ones are true legendary specs. So now that I have 4 people in here, that's great. I can actually start like showing you guys the system here that is the Aegis system. Obviously, I have access to this through Cardeal Page. Most companies that have any sort of export capacity will have a landing page under Aegis, which is the master service. But everybody has their own thing. Some of the larger brands like Japan Car Direct actually have the USS houses limited. And when you actually pull these things up, it looks like this. And this is all you get. And it's because USS doesn't allow their images to be shared online. So all they're actually going to be showing you are these blurry images to get an idea. It'll also show you mileage and condition, sales statistics to see exactly if this thing has been listed before, what the quote-unquote average price is. This is essentially the average starting cost for this, not the average sell price for this. But fortunately, we also have our Ninja system, which is a paid-for system that gives us complete and total visibility into all the cars at auction. I have essentially the lowest tier version of this. The ones that start going higher than this, unfortunately enough, do get pretty pricey. So traditionally, those become the territory of the actual exporters that can break down these sheets and whatnot. This is awesome because you can see this Lancia here has various service records year over year. Raiwa 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the year. So this is when it was checked in, when everything was verified. So over the last 5 years, we're looking at a grand total of about 3,000 kilometers. So this one has been sitting in somebody's collection in a very nice way and just being absolute legend. We got a bit of a rat's nest of chargers, aftermarket stereo systems, ETC readers. But let's look at these seats, shall we? Because bring this back, please. Yeah, this one's in excellent shape. Just a small dent with a scratch on it in the passenger in the driver's door, and a 3 to 5 centimeter scratch on that. And it looks like there's a scratch in the glass and a scratch in the front bumper. But other than that, this thing is in gorgeous shape. And for a starting bid of approximately $8,800, man, if you're in the mood for a Lancia, this one comes with service records and books and everything. So there you go. So this is a little bit more about the USS system. I can't actually screenshot these things and put them on social media because you can see that my username is actually watermarked on all these things, and they can revoke my account if anything with my username is actually on there posted to social media. So we're going to keep the USS stuff to a bare minimum today, but I just wanted everyone to see that it does exist and is out there. And if we find anything today that's really cool, or anyone actually wants to bid on something that's on a USS system, we can actually take a look through it. So traditionally when I'm kicking off Rad Ride, I always start with Daihatsu. I, deep down inside, am a Daihatsu fanboy. You know, it's ironic because when I first started this, I was like, Honda, Honda, Honda. Like, everything's got to be Honda. And then when I first got into JDM stuff, I was like, Nissan, Nissan, Nissan. Not even for the Skylines. I didn't care about the Skylines at all. I just love the Zs. Like, the JDM Fairlady Zs are what life is all about as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I wanted to really start doing this. And then I got into Hondas, and now it's just Daihatsu because they're just fun, they're small, and they're just joyful. So I can set the range of years. You can actually type this into. Sometimes cars are listed with 0 year. A lot of the times they're brand new, but sometimes you can see one squeak through. This is the range of mileage that is on all Daihatsus throughout this page. and then the CCs throughout all this page. So essentially the largest engine is a 2.8 liter, probably in a Delta truck somewhere. So now we can see what is in here. This is pretty cool right off the bat. We have, I mean, I'm always a sucker for a try. So we can pull up preview pictures just to see a little bit more about what this is. This is a pretty standard van. Blank shell, tool overhead cam kind of stuff. But if you're going to wrap a van and you want something cheap, that's not bad. But let's take a look at this guy here, because again, I'm a sucker for a tries, and even though I prefer the old style, the new style is growing on me pretty quickly. Like, this is in a try wagon. Right there you can see it's a custom turbo. It's got the fogs in there. Like, again, this is just a blank canvas for somebody to play with. It's got the column automatic, which is good. The seats pattern is gray, but is otherwise fun. And this has got to have not a whole lot, 154, so it's on the higher side. But let's take a look and see if this is four-wheel drive or not. It doesn't want to tell us. But this is legal, which is great. It doesn't say if it's four-wheel drive, but if it's turbo and custom on these Steelies, chances are it's a two-wheel drive. Otherwise, looks pretty good. You gotta love seeing a try custom turbo. You know, I'm gonna keep this one open because generally, whenever I find it's, I kind of play this with the rule of cool. So I always start off by saying, okay, this is the coolest one I found thus far in 2 cars. And if I find something else cooler in the long term, I will pull that up and then override it. And of course, for the small fire truck folks out there, look at this. It's a tiny Daihatsu fire truck. This is a 3.5, which is surprising because 9 times out of 10 these things are grade 4 or better, but 3.5C definitely shows that this one's been not loved or loved a little too much, because you can see the clear coat is fading on the windshield sill here. And there's actually 2 large scratches in the side body, which is weird. Pump has been removed, all the hoses have been removed, unfortunately enough, but it does come with the spotlights and the siren, which is pretty nifty. Battery box is open. So this one's pretty bare bones, and in a 3.5C condition at 7,000 kilometers, I do expect this one to go on the lower end of the spectrum. This one has a starting bid of about 320 bucks, so that's pretty excellent. So man, if anybody ever actually wants one of these things, just let me know, because I would love to bring one of these things in. We'll save that for K-Trucks one day. I have featured this one before, actually. This is pretty cool too. Just an old Daihatsu Campagno. Pretty interesting tint in there. But the seat pattern is just dynamite in this wood grain dash. It is just classic. And I love how this logo has not changed since the 60s and it still looks modern. But pretty Fiat 124 inspired butt, that's for sure. This one's been listed, oh gosh, probably 5 or 6 times at this point in time, so I'm not quite sure what's wrong with it. At a 3.5B, the interior and exterior quality are pretty good, but you can also see that the handwriting here is truly awful. Somebody has been written over it multiple times. So my guess is that there's some sort of engine noise, or the mechanicals of this thing just aren't good. The odometer reading is verified though, which is wild for a car of this age, at 81K. And then traditionally I'll skip over the K-Trucks because there's just so many of them. And I do try to list one a week on Sundays just to let people know they're out there. They're great. I love Hi-Jets. I have one in the garage. I'll fix it one of these days. But if anyone wants to see anything else or really zoom into more K-Trucks, let me know. I will be happy to pull those up as we move on with the stream. So again, skipping most of these K-Trucks. When we get into the Hi-Jet vans, I always want to take a look. This one's like a silvery blue color. I'm always about that. And I'm definitely at a point in my life where I can tell which auction house this is just by the photo booths, which is funny. And you know what? I'm going to do a quick pause here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, everybody. I got a medical call in the background, so if you'll give me a quick 5 minutes to deal with that, I will call, or I'll be right back onto the stream. Sorry about the delay. All right, we back. Sorry about that, everybody. It was a simple thing that needed to get taken care of right now, but we're back. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I love these Daihatsu midgets really, really, really much. Like, they are one of the vehicles that I've never imported, but I desperately want to. I mean, this one looks green. Is it green? Yeah, it is green. It's a very dark green. And if this is LA Okayama, which I know it is because of the background, but it's also here. This is actually probably more of a sea green. The cameras here always make it look pretty dark. But we got Steelies, we got the original cover on here. The bed's looking pretty fuzzy, but that's okay. Nardi wheel replaced. It's got the little stubby 4-speed. These things are not fast by any stretch of the imagination, but they're adorable. And the funny thing about the midgets is on the automatic version, that's a column automatic, this actually has a window roller. And on the manual transmission version, it does not. So if you have a manual transmission version of this window is permanently locked, but if you have the automatic transmission version, this can roll down because there's a half seat here. And I guess technically, if you have somebody in the half seat, they want to roll down the window, so go fig. This one's pretty cool, though. 3.5B, this is not bad. Just a little bit of paint, clear coat peel on the roof, and then a tiny scratch. Tires are actually in halfway decent shape, so that's nifty. Undercarriage, rust. Looks like some scratches and dents around the vehicle, nothing big. And a small dent and a scratch in the undercarriage, so that's good. Yeah, very, very, very low mileage, though, as I'm noting here. And it's got service records, too. So this is a, 27-year-old vehicle? 28-year-old vehicle? 28-year-old vehicle, and it has less than 3,000 kilometers on it. This is nuts. So I might keep this up. I think we're going to have to say goodbye to our Daihatsu Tri-Wagon because this thing is just magical. We're gonna move on down the line here. There's so many Miraginos coming up, and these things are really great, especially the ones that are 5-speed and turbo. But like, man, look at that. The really cool thing about these Miraginos is they go fairly cheap for what they are. In really considering, you know, what they are, you know, which is essentially a tiny Japanese mini clone. They tend to be really fun, and you can't see the interior on this one, but most of them have this really nice burgundy-ish purple interior, which is phenomenal, especially underneath this this cobalt blue exterior. And then here's Rad Ride from the other day that we'd put up. That's looks like a Japanese taxi cab. This one has some higher miles on it, but the fender mirrors, the turbo, and the fact that it's a 5-speed make this pretty rare. But unfortunately enough, this one's a little on the pooch side when it comes to overall condition. This one's pretty cool. The Daihatsu Naked. This one's in bronze, pretty good color. Let's take a look at this. Only got the interior and exterior. I should have realized when I saw this particular auction house only does exterior pictures, which is kind of a pain in the neck. But as a bronze color in the G trim, this is pretty cool, especially because it's got probably fake Watanabes on there. But all told, it looks pretty good. Anything of note? Looks like this fender's been replaced. Little paint wave on a scratch. Some clear coat fading on the top. And one door, so this thing has definitely seen the outside of its entire life. At 138K, it's definitely seen some miles, but it looks like a starting bid of 640. I don't think it's going to go much higher than that, especially because it clearly had an accident at one point in time where this left front fender has been replaced. So even though I like the color and the model, I think we're just going to go ahead and take a pass on that one. And then there's these guys. These Daihatsu Terios kids are really playful little 4x4s in the K-Class. Unfortunately, this particular chain of auction houses, TAA, I think is unnecessarily harsh on a lot of their rides. You can see that E is the absolute worst exterior and interior grade you can get. This particular auction house, if there is a C2 corrosion spot on here, it'll immediately go down to an E. Likewise, if there is a U4 dent, which is a dent that looks the size of your elbow, then it will automatically classify that as an E. So even if there's, you know, one big demerit, it's going to say no. But even though this thing looks awesome, you know, from these potato quality pictures, you can see right here that there are multiple C AHA, so C AHA, which means corrosion hole somewhere. I would imagine that these C2 spots are about to form holes in some way, shape, and form. So we're just going to go ahead and forget this one exists, because anything that has a C2 or higher, I just go ahead and ignore in its entirety. We're going to skip over Isuzu because I would say 98% of these things are going to be trucks and large SUVs that were available in the United States, so it tends to not be very interesting. So we're going to skip ahead to Subaru. And fortunately, now that we're in the 2000 range, we are definitely kicking into some of the stuff that's much more desirable. I believe it's the quote-unquote blob eye era. I don't think this is going to show up because it's a USS auction, but you can start seeing that we're going to see some pretty cool stuff right around the corner. Some of these things, these Foresters, these Turbo Foresters, are locked behind the USS, but if anyone wants to see that, just leave a comment in the chat, and we'll be happy to pull that up. Otherwise, Turbo Impreza, a lot of these are automatic transmissions, though, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. Oh, look at this guy. Somebody has definitely put this one out. It's a quality 3. Which for this particular auction house is kind of a thing, especially because I already see that there's C3 and corrosion holes forming in the rear quarters, so that's certainly not something that we want to invest in. But real quick, just as a note, you can see here that these particular cameras in this particular bay should be recognizable because this was in the AZ1 video about going through the auction, so that's great. But wow, this interior, it's definitely, somebody had choices. I mean, somebody's been absolutely drifting and tracking this thing with the koi mats and the custom everything inside. Alcantara wheel. And our special guest over here, my 3-year-old son, is playing Thomas in front of us. So if you hear any squeaks or tongues or giggles in the background, you can clearly understand what is happening. So even though whoever had this definitely made some choices, I'm going to go ahead and pass on this one, even though it looks cool, because even though this looks fine from right here, underneath this little panel here is some big time corrosion, and I do not want to mess with it. We do have a V Limited though, and I'm pretty sure I've seen this one before. I might have actually featured it before in the past. If this one is, yep, yeah, the 3 gauges, and you can see there's a cologne bottle up there, so I can only imagine what this car smells like inside. But at the same time, it is a V Limited, but it is version 4, so it doesn't have that really cool roof scoop up there. So we're gonna go ahead and pass on this one. So let's see. This one's USS. It's locked. I'm not going to touch it. Automatic transmission, automatic transmission. See, this is the problem a lot of the times is so many of the cool cars, like Turbo Legacy, BE5, 5-speed and Quality 4 is going to be locked behind the USS Tokyo paywall, because of course it is. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Because the highest desirable cars are traditionally locked there. So whenever you're tracking a vehicle down or you're looking for something specific, never hesitate to reach out and let me know, because I can find a bunch of other stuff that's just not going to be featured on Rad Ride most of the time. But this I want to see, because there's a Subaru R2 here, and that is something that is exceedingly rare. So let us take a look at that inside of the USS system here. Go to page 2, and let's take a look at this little Joy box. Look at this. It has 67,000 verified kilometers for being, what year is this? 70 something? Oh, it doesn't even say. I would have to actually look this code up. But my goodness. Look at that little nugget. Look at that cute face. Oh my goodness. Definitely a rear engine, air cooled. My goodness, what a little legend. The dash is fantastic. It looks like it's either had a door card replaced or is missing. That would certainly be a choice if that were the graphics, which it looks like it is. So who knows what the interior of this car really looks like. But man, if you're looking for a Tiny K classic, look at these wheels too. That is a choice. But very cool little Subi. Certainly something that I wish I could show more of. All right, so let's keep on going. Got a classic over here. This is pretty good, repair grade, but 81,000. These Subaru Sambar Diaz 2s are fairly rare in any sort of good condition whatsoever. And it looks like the tailgate has been replaced at some point in time, but is otherwise pretty serviceable. Let's take a look at the sheet, see what it says. I mean, there's mild rust and corrosion. Looks like quite a bit of scratches and rust on one side and on the tailgate. So this one's definitely seen a pretty nasty accident of some kind, likely unrepaired. Oh, one quick second. I'll be right back, everybody. All right, and we are back for a moment. I've got a couple of kids running around, so you're going to have to bear with me here. But generally, this is the Subaru stuff. It is a whole lot of not great stuff, unfortunately enough, because these don't age well, and there's never a ton of Subaru anything, unfortunately enough. I mean, 4 pages is pretty good, but you can see most of them are sandbar trucks in pretty rough shape. So that's why I don't feature Subaru all that often. We're going to check out Suzuki next, and Suzuki is one of those companies that has a ton of stuff, but at the same time, a lot of it is still locked behind newer things. Like one of the things that I really desperately want to get my hands on, obviously, is a Suzuki Alto Lapin, because, I mean, who doesn't want a rabbit-themed K-car, which I am all for. Later models are also turbo and have a really cool rabbit icon up front, which is great. But that is not here nor there, because I have to wait 3 more years on that, for better or worse. So let's see what is out there in the Suzuki town. There is this beautiful RSZ Alto Works that has been resprayed in red, which is gorgeous, but the problem is that it's automatic transmission. And chances are, if you want a really cool little hot hatch, you desperately do not want an automatic transmission, no matter how nice the seats are and everything inside. So unfortunately enough, this one will likely go cheap. Has definitely been raced or autocrossed at some point in time, especially with a steering wheel like that and strut graphics. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and say the heck with this one. This one, however, an RSZ, is manual transmission, so all-wheel drive turbo hot hatch in the HB21S. So an upgraded engine model, but at the same time, it's definitely got quite a few demerits on it. Looks like the front left and hood have been replaced at some point in time, for better or worse. As an R grade, it definitely has to have some sort of an accident repaired. Looks like it's got a seat replaced, a bunch of aftermarket gauges in there. Definitely seen its fair share of the track. I don't think it... Oh, it is caged too. So this one's definitely kitted out for autocross, which is great because, hey, if you want something for autocross, this one's already ready to go. But the problem is right here, and the fact that it's got 276,000 kilometers on this engine. So if anyone ever says, oh, I would love a K car, but they're just not reliable, this one's clearly been, put away wet and driven hard. It's still got more than 250,000 kilometers on it, and it is still going strong enough to be here at auction and not have anything that says specifically white smoke or anything else. So there you go. Suzuki Altos, heavily reliable, awesome little hot hatches. Can't go wrong. Well, now that our cappuccino is officially out the door, I would love to start putting them back on Rad Ride. This one is definitely a choice with the aftermarket fenders, some really beefy wheels. Looks like an aftermarket splitter of some kind up front. Definitely not in the best shape in the world. But goodness gracious, somebody has ridden this one real hard. Original seats, though, which I respect. But goodness gracious, another one that has definitely been tracked and loved and, and put away wet. So we're just going to go ahead and skip over that one. Suzuki carry trucks are far and above the most common out there, and they are the cheapest. And ironically, probably the most easy to modify, but they're also the smallest when it comes to cab space. So if you're someone who's small but wants a K-truck and doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money on it, man, oh man, do you have your choice with Suzuki Carry. Plus, everybody loves these the friend-shaped face with the nice round lights and everything. Nothing else on this page. A Servo Classic, which is definitely one of those, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, my gosh, you're not going to like this at all kind of looks up front. But all told, nothing huge. There's a rare Suzuki Cultus, which you guys might recognize the fascia of. for a US equivalent car. If you know, you know. Whoa, look at this. We do have an every Joy Pop in here, which is, wow, extremely low kilometers if it is verified. Look at that. This only has 23,000 kilometers on it. Unfortunately, the exterior does have quite a bit of damage in the dents. Again, B4 is something sizable that is going to be, they say, equivalent of smashing an elbow into something. So these typically can be between 5 and 10 inches in diameter. And even though you really can't see it on the picture, if you look really hard, it is right here. That is a sizable dent, and it's definitely in a spot that could make the opening and closing of the slider on this side pretty tough. There's also some scraping right here. But man, if you want a low kilometer K-van, the interior is B quality, and this is the first time that this has been listed at auction, so this is a debut. Otherwise, it's in pretty great shape. So if you want to wrap a van, have access to a body shop, or can do it pretty quick, or easily or cheaply, this one still has seat doilies on it, and it still is active in the shotgun, which is cool. And it's on tris. I mean, I know they're hubcaps, but they're still tri-spoke hubcaps, which is great. And another reason why I traditionally won't use the TAA, as you can see, they only put a picture up of the exterior front and back. So unfortunately enough, it really doesn't work, because I like to show off at least the interior, because so many of these things are super interesting when it comes to the interior that I like to show that off, but I don't like to keep things a mystery when it comes to that. Jimneys are also plentiful, but my goodness, do people still love the absolute heck out of these things. This one looks like it's no claim, which is hit or miss. There's definitely some paint swirls, some, you know, as old Suzukis come in, you know, lots of S, which is rusty bits around, mainly in the bumper, rear quarter panels. It has been repainted in the hood and rear quarter panel, probably to cover up the rusty spots. But otherwise, a CD is not unheard of in a 3.5 grade, so we'll see what the interior merits. It is 5-speed, which is great. For the era, this thing should go forever. Let's take a look at what the mileage is. So this one is reading 10,000 kilometers, but right here, if you see on the sheet, it's got a star. That means that it is specifically an odometer tampered car. Whether or not the meter was switched out, whether or not the meter was actually tampered with, this little star right here means that there is something that you need to know about this car, which is why it is being sold as no claim, because there's no history as to when and why this meter was changed out. But it's got a nice brush guard bar up there, some yellow fogs in his turbo, which is cool. Plus it's got these really cute graphics on here, which is fantastic. But this one is definitely a caveat emptor, a buyer beware, even though it looks pretty cool across the board. So if you want a really cool Jimny, but you're not really caring about the history of it, then this might be for you. All right, let's keep going down the Suzuki line here. Nice bright green one, which is awesome. Definitely repainted. It looks like tractor tires, my goodness. But I'm not even going to go into that, because it is grade 2, which means there are corrosion holes in the frame somewhere. So I am just not going to mess with that under any circumstances. We do have another Jimny Turbo here, also with pretty cool graphics. It's even older. This is an 89, so it's got the yellow fogs, pretty cool graphics, hard top. Verified mileage at 78K, which is cool. 3.5C, definitely something worth taking a look at. And his manual transmission. I can't tell if these are covers. They look like they're covers. It's a little too good to be otherwise, but this one is, in fact, in really good shape, all things considered. Let's take a look. Little rusty bits in the bumper, 2 very small corrosion spots on the rear quarter panel. But otherwise, goodness gracious, yeah, this is definitely pretty cool, all things considered. Cooler than our 3,000 kilometer midget. Probably not today, but we'll come back to that if it comes back around for auction. An RA at 137, but look at this fire engine red, my goodness. Wow. Turbo, fender mirrors, that's actually pretty cool, but automatic transmission. It's up in 2 hours, so I'm not going to feature it because chances are it's going to be gone by the time everybody else sees it on social media. Always a pain in the neck. We got some Wagon Rs in here. Some are turbos, some are not. We get some scooters up here too. That's pretty cool, but it's pretty beat up, all things considered. Nothing that really jumps out at me when it comes to the Wagon Rs, which is fine. We can just kind of pretend these don't exist today. But let me tell you, these Wagon Rs will go forever. Like, look at the mileage and condition on this. Everything along the board is over 100K. Most of these are close to or well over 200K. So these Wagon Rs are definitely known for their longevity, even the turbo versions, which is pretty cool. Suzuki definitely knows how to do some things right, and that should go ahead and underline it. All right, moving on to Honda. There is a Honda 1300, which is awesome, but it is unfortunately corroded to a point where it's grade 2, which, hey, if you're looking for a chassis to pull off the frame and restore, by all means, you can do that, but I'm not going to touch it. Lots of Honda Actis. Honda Actis are also very plentiful, so if you're ever looking for one specifically, you are spoiled for choice. 2 blue ones on the same page, though. That is pretty rare. The blue ones have definitely been evaporating lately when it comes to seeing them at auction. They're definitely rare to begin with, but as the 90s cars kind of start to fade a little bit in favor of the early 2000s cars, those are definitely becoming rarities. So if you want a blue K-Truck, now is definitely the time to strike before they just become unobtainium. There's a lot of good Honda Beats out there tonight, though, including this this army green one that I've had my eyes on for a little while, but it's just never been at the right time to strike at it. Sometimes these vehicles, come up for auction a bunch of times, because there's just too many of them. People are asking for too high of a reserve. Because you can see right here, it'll say start at 10,000 yen, which is what, $100. But it doesn't say what the reserve is. Oh, although it's been moved to the 300,000 yen max corner. So this vehicle will sell at a reserve of less than about 2,100 yen, 2,100 bucks. So man, if you want a Honda Beat in a unique color, this might be the one. There is a corrosion spot right here that you can see where the panels meet. The rear plastic definitely needs to be replaced. You can do that for about 125 bucks. Seat covers have been added. There's a aftermarket shift boot, which is great. And it looks like the Gathers unit has definitely been replaced. Now these wheels are definitely interesting. That is definitely something that is cool. I mean, those wheels might be worth the price, and it has one of my favorite mods on a Honda Beat, which is this center mounted exhaust, which I am all about. No spoiler, no luggage rack, aftermarket paint. You know what? If you can get this thing for like $1,000, I think this might be a pretty good purchase, all things considered. Yeah, air conditioning doesn't work. Just basic, scratches. Core support bend, which is nothing huge. Scratches, dents, interior dirty, aftermarket bits and bobs and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to a cheap project, heck yeah, let's go with this thing. But again, unfortunately enough, one that I can't really show off. And hey, as long as we're in the Honda market right here, let's skip off this Beat, and then we can go down into this. Look at this. We got a Honda City Turbo, a 1985. So if you want to wide body this one and make your Hot Wheels dreams come true, here it is. Because this thing is cherry. Like, wow. Like, I'm impressed, because normally these things are just rotted out, and like now I want to see the sheet. There is no rust on this whatsoever. Like, no corrosion spots. There's just a dent and a scratch in the glass, and that is it. Now, there is only 800 kilometers in the Odo, but it obviously has been tampered with. But this is a Honda City Turbo. This is an iconic ride. like this just looks fantastic with the graphics on it and everything. So holy heck, if you want a City Turbo, I'm just going to pull this one open so that I can see where this is going to be. This is going to be up tomorrow night at some point in time. So if you guys know anyone that wants a Honda City Turbo, here is a good one. My goodness. Normally when I see these up and it's an RC, there's at least a couple of RC, or I should say, oh, look at these wheels too. Oh my goodness. Definitely have some C2 and even C3 spots across the board. So Honda City Turbo, heck yeah. I wish I could put that up at Rad Ride, but unfortunately enough, because it's USS locked, I can't do a thing with it. Some basic stuff. There's a CRX in there, and hey, look, it's this Integra that came up for auction a little while ago. This is at a different house, so it looks like somebody bought this and brought it down to Jugifu, which is cool. I have had a couple of cars come through there, including the AZ1, obviously. So this is a pretty cool house, and actually seeing the whole process of going through the auction and inspection is super duper nifty. And this one looks awesome. If the I think the camber on this is actually pretty appropriate for where the wheels sit. It is pretty low, but if this is on aftermarket coilovers, it'll go on a Roro ship, no issue. So these Honda Lifes, these are really good kind of intro, daily K cars, which is really nice. This one's in halfway decent shape. Let's actually take a look at this because I have been meaning to bring one of these up, but unfortunately not. This one's in 2 hours. Column automatic, which is a change. What I like to refer to as the toe jam and Earl kind of seat patterning and whatnot. These are actually really good, and it's got dual airbags, and you can get these things desperately cheaply. We're talking like under $400 for these things. I mean, the starting bid on this is $70, and these guys are plentiful. Traditionally they're just family rides that have definitely seen their fair share of licks. So if you ever want a cheap K daily, man, oh man, you cannot go wrong with the Honda Life. Just keep those revs down. We had this NSX on last week, and my gosh, does this thing look buttery smooth. I've been wanting to get an NSX through here at some point in time over a long time, so hopefully we can get this in the future. Here's a Gorilla, which I know a couple of people have definitely been telling me about to get one of these guys because they're hugely desirable over here, but this one definitely looks pretty beat up. So we're going to go ahead and pretend that does not exist. All right, we're just about done with the Honda. Now, there are a ton of Preludes up right now. This gold one's pretty nice, all things considered. I think only one of these guys right here is manual transmission, 3.5 CB. This is actually in pretty good shape, all things considered. Yeah, dash definitely needs a little bit of a clean, but 5-speed manual transmission with 98K, this could be a winner. I mean, it doesn't look like it's got any air fresheners dangling, but when it comes to the, what's this, the 3rd-gen Prelude, the 2nd-gen Prelude, that's actually not bad. So I'm going to keep this one open for tomorrow. We'll see if it works against our midjet for the spot. Honda SMX, I think this is up in a day. Yep, this has got the lowdown kit and the really nice wheels. Does not have the leather interior or the orange interior, so this is a lesser trim, and they have removed the aftermarket TV, which is kind of a pain in the neck, but it does look pretty good all told, especially because it's got a rare sunroof. So this one's pretty nifty. Certainly not cooler than the Prelude, I don't think. But if you want a rolling queen bed on wheels, this is where it's at. There is an S2000 up, so that is awesome. Base grade no less, so it's definitely going to last forever. CB, so about average, all things considered, 67K, but unfortunately it is up in 2 hours. So we're going to look at this one, drool a little bit, and then be on to the next thing. It is definitely pretty nice interior. So if anyone ever wants an S2000, these things are pretty plentiful right now. There are, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up right now. Just on this page. There might be more on the next. Yeah, 10, 11. 11, all things considered. That's pretty great. Ooh, a teal step wagon? Oh, we can't go wrong with that. No, sir. Oh, no, it's green. Okay. And only 2 pictures. Oh, RI Bayside, you used to be cool. But jokes aside on the step wagon, these things are ultra capable. It's rare that I see these things with less than 200K at auction. So if you want a quirky hauler with four-wheel drive and tons of options inside, these are pretty cool. Here is our rad ride for today. These wheels are a choice, but at the same time, I'm kind of all about it. I mean, it's got this reverse rake looking C-pillar, even though the glass doesn't follow. It's just a cool car. There's no way around that. And hey, regular cars has one now, so you know it's got to be cool. All right, last page in the Hondas. We're going to be looking at the Vamoses, the Tornios, and the Z's if we're lucky. And yes, we are lucky today. The Vamoses are cool, especially if you can get a four-wheel drive turbo one. But much like most other Hondas, their engines do tend to start doing nasty things right around the spot that people start turning these things in for auction, which is definitely in that 160 to 170K range. Unfortunately enough, the Z is up in 40 minutes. This one's kind of beat up, unfortunately enough, too. But these are really cool little 4x4s. All right, on to Mitsubishi. We'll see what's out there. Now, Mitsubishi is always kind of a pain in the neck because you can see that some of these things have almost 1,000,000 kilometers on them, and it ends up giving us 21 pages of stuff. So I'm going to cut this off at about 300K, and I'm going to put this at about 5.5 liters, which should, trim us down 6 pages. So we're, not seeing a ton of the big trucks. Some of the little trucks, though, like this Canter fire engine, look at that. It's got a hook and ladder on it, too. That's great. So if you want a K fire truck, a full-size fire truck, this one has most of the stuff, including its hoses. So, hey, and what looks like a detachable pump of some kind. So that's really cool. So, hey, if you ever want to live your fire truck dreams, there you go. First couple of pages are always going to be trucks with Mitsubishi because this has kind of got a Decatora thing to it. I really like it. Definitely my dream to own a Decatora truck at some point in time. And you know what? I'm going to pop this guy open just to see if the interior is Decatored out. Oh, it's not loading real pictures of the interior. That sucks. But, oh well. So the first couple of pages with Mitsubishi is always going to be Canters. They are big time popular over in Japan. And you can see that these things do everything, whether it's bucket trucks or car haulers or dump trucks, crane trucks, you name it. People are doing all sorts of stuff with these Canters. Food trucks, dumps, just absolutely everything in every configuration, quad cab or otherwise. And the weirdest thing is, like, this looks huge, especially with the dually and whatnot, but this is really no bigger than an F-350 dually. But this one's got a lift gate on it, and it probably costs a quarter as much. So yeah, don't mess with F-150s, mess with JDM trucks. Look at this. This one's even a garbage truck. So hey, if you ever need a garbage truck to drive yourself around because you want the world to know that you're furry trash, here you go. Perfect. But goodness, almost 6 pages of this. That is impressive amounts of trucks. But finally, we're going to get into the cooler stuff, the Delicas of the world and whatnot. I definitely want to take a look at these Delicas. I am a major fan of the space gears. Certainly the Star Wagons are more iconic, but the egg van kind of style of the space gears is pretty cool. We got the brush guard up front with the integrated fog lights, which is fantastic. This is the turbo diesel version. So this is actually pretty cool. Is there corrosion anywhere? Yeah, there's a little bit on the roof, which is not uncommon on these things, especially because they spend a lot of their time outside. But they are pretty small. Looks like a big scratch on the roof, but other than that's probably where the rust and corrosion marks are. But all told, not bad at all. This might take my top spot. I might feature this over the Prelude because there's only so many turbo diesel, world globe-trotting, Mitsubishi Delica vans out there, and this is definitely one of them. So, speaking of overland rigs, you can go absolutely nuts with these things with the roof racks and whatnot. And here it is. We'll compare it against the Space Gear version of this. or the Star Wagon version of this, where I mean these things just look beefy and indestructible. There's just no way around that. This one's in worse condition overall with a 3DC. That would definitely be on the lowest end of what I would recommend anyone actively invest money in. Especially because this is a gasoline vehicle with 100,000. The valve seals will definitely need to be replaced on this one, but it does have an inclinometer, which is really cool. Manual transmission. This one is honestly pretty dope, all things considered. I might just do a head-to-head, like which one is cooler. This one also has the inclinometer too, and the four-wheel drive selector. So hey, let's run these two head-to-head tomorrow and call it a day. So we've got 2 rad rides, which is awesome. We do have a blue FTO, which is a rarity. If this is the right spec, you know what? This is not the right one. Yeah, the color code is T88B. So this is not one of the rare specs, especially because it is the AT. But overall, these FTOs are really, really, really cool. Proto GTO, not something that we had in this country. I mean, we had the Eclipse, we had the GTO, but not the FTO. This is definitely a half step in between the two. I think it's a really slick ride. There's no way around that. Something definitely unique. There was one of these at Furfest. As soon as everybody saw it, I had dozens of people running up to me asking me if that's my FTO, if I know who that is. So I did find out who the owner was during the course of the convention. He was quite happy to hear that everybody was appreciating it. That is funny, my dude. It is funny. We'll look at this right here. We have a Mitsubishi Legnum VR4. Unfortunately, it's up in an hour. So if anyone wants a Legnum VR4, here you go. Here is the Mitsubishi Daddy Wagon, and it's got the sunroof, man. And you know what? The wheels are definitely an appropriate choice for this thing. This thing slays. 3.5C, 76K. Yeah, this one's definitely going to fetch a pretty penny, but my goodness, let's just take a minute to appreciate this one, because these VR4s are definitely rare, and they're not making any more of them by any stretch of the imagination. Evos are kind of a dime a dozen out here. I tend to skip those. They don't do very well when it comes to engagement, and as much as I don't want to, post cars by engagement, if folks are really not into them, I just don't want to post them. Everybody knows what an Evo is, and the performance stuff, especially the higher end, is just not something that a lot of folks are interested in. Lots of various bips and bobs, excavators and whatnot. If you ever want an excavator, they're becoming more and more popular as the excavator market here in the United States absolutely peaks. We got some Pajeros out here. Ooh, this is a nice one. 89 version, quality 3, pretty cool. Got an Evo down here. If you ever want a true off-roader that can run the Dakar, well, you know what? You can get yourself a Pajero Evolution. This one's definitely kind of beat up though, so I would imagine this is a 3. No, it's a 2. Yeah, don't touch that one. Oh, here we go. Mitsubishi Pajero Lynx. That would be pretty cool to have. I mean, the Pajero Lynx and Pajero Flying Pug were definitely some of the rare models that are out there across the board. Definitely something to look for. The issue is that almost all of these were automatic, but they are very cool looking. I definitely prefer the Pajero Mini, just normal. Although, speaking of Pajero Juniors, this is a ZR2. Oh, I did import one of these, 2.5 years ago, that's out in Colorado right now. It's actually the banner of my YouTube site, sitting up on Engineers Pass. These are naturally aspirated versions. They're mostly automatic, though the one we imported was 5-speed. Little brush guard and yellow fogs. These things do look pretty cool, and you can get them fairly inexpensively, all things considered. So they are desperately cool. Oh, and I do have an update on Dog Bus, by the way. The Golden Retriever Dog Bus did sell for a mere $2,400. So if you guys ever want a dog bus, just put in a standing order, and I'll be happy to track one down because they come through occasionally. All right, we're gonna run through Mazda here. this, I do have some folks looking for an AZ1, so let's pull this up. Let's check this out in the Mazda field, because it's rare to have more than a couple of AZ1s. This one right here is definitely not something that most people are going to want. This is an M21015. There are a grand total of 46 of these worldwide. The seller on this has had this at auction since at least May, and he wants $40,000 on it, which, you know, a 4.5A AZ1, definitely something that's cool, especially when it's one of 46, but it's just not worth 45 grand. Now this one is a 4B, which is pretty cool. Aftermarket gauges. It's got the 80s kind of sun deflector back here. You know what? This isn't bad. When is this up? Tomorrow? I'm going to keep this in my back pocket because I definitely have somebody out there interested in an AZ1, and starting at $1,000,000 yen, this is definitely in the neighborhood. Small scratches over here. A3 scratch in the back, which is, you know, something. It's got HKS bits, Momo steering wheel. The wheels on this are actually pretty dope. I'm into it. So yeah, we'll see if he likes it, and I'll send it to him a little bit later. We got some trucks in here. These bongo vans are really cool, especially this bongo friendly. If you guys aren't familiar with bongo friendies, they're really cool because they have electronically controlled curtains that go around the entire interior, so you can camp in there. And then this is an auto free top tent, so this is an electrically controlled pop-up tent, which is really snazzy. If you ever want a four-wheel drive turbo diesel, you know, off-road, go anywhere camper van, this is definitely something that you're going to want to check out. Got the RXs in here, the Roadsters in here, but you'll see very quickly that most of these, in fact, all of these are locked behind USS Tokyo. So there is a ton of these things, and if you ever want an NA Miata, but you want yours to be a little bit different and not completely rusted out, the JDM approach is definitely the way to go. Oh, look at this. We've got two friend-shaped trucks, so if anyone ever wants the old Porter cabs, we have two. So let's take a quick look at this. I'm going to bring up another Ninja window. And we'll go with the Mazda Porter cab. It's rare to see one of these at auction, let alone three. This is kind of ridiculous. And USS Nagoya. This is the F4 PC-11. Huh, that's weird that that one of them's not loading. The blue one is what I want to see. So Porter truck. A lot of the times, you know, English is English, so they're just going to say the heck with it. Ah, there it is. So the Mazda Porter truck. This one's in excellent shape. It's definitely been restored at some point in time. Surface rust. Scratches and dirt here and there, broken taillights. But all told, look at that face. How can you say no to that face? Interiors definitely had a new bench seat. Column or shifter on the floor, probably a 3-speed, no 4-speed. This dash is definitely original and has definitely seen better days. But what a joy to see these little things around still, especially on those four bolt steelies. That's fantastic. I think we actually featured this one. Yeah, we featured this one a couple of weeks ago in Rad Ride with the 14-inch Watanabes, the Carbra and or painted that way with the hardtop. Definitely a cool one. No way around that. But again, there are so many Roadsters out there that you can just bring in, and they traditionally go between like what 2 and 6K depending on condition. So if you ever wanted a Miata that's not completely pooched, this is 100% the way to do it. Some cool stuff in the Senchas, the big trucks. Definitely looking for car haulers. The two sides. So these are just one car haulers. We're going to go ahead and skip them. Nope, nothing but big trucks. All right, I'm going to go through Nissan last, and then I'll call it after this. Because Toyota is just always too much, and unless I'm looking for something specifically, it's always just kind of a waste to just go through the whole thing. Nissan, what's Atlas fire truck? Yep, Atlas fire truck. This guy is what, a 4 at 4,000 kilometers? All right, you fire truck lovers, let's take a look at this one. This is 4B. There's only one small spot of rust in the back, but for thank you, my child, for your enthusiasm. But this does have the whole pump on it and some of the hoses too, and a ladder, which, as we know, is pretty rare. Interior is not much in the way of detail, but it is a 5-speed, so that's cool. So if you want a large-scale fire truck, here you go. And there's another one. There's actually two. Look at that. Another fire truck. This one has the canvas top and the pump in size. Yeah, you can see, kiddo. Come on around.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't this cool? Look at all these cars.
Wow.
Yeah, very wow.
I see that already.
Oh, okay. I'm happy that you like it, buddy.
Yeah, I like it.
So this is the Atlas van. So the fire truck was a Nissan Atlas. This is the van version of it, and my gosh, is it a wacky change. These are definitely design choices when it comes to how these vans are set up. I always say that these vans look like a van that's swallowed a bee, and that is definitely pretty accurate when it comes to these things. BE1s, we've got 1, 2, 3 of them all in yellow. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, all locked behind USS auction houses, but they are all in pretty good shape. Up to a 4.5. Look at that. That is rare to see a BE1 in anything more than a 3.5, so this one is fairly exceptional, which is great. But none of them are canvas tops. Is this a canvas top? It is. So that is pretty nifty. Got some vans, Nissan big vans to kind of compete with the high aces. These GT Cruise caravans are really cool. I know you can't really make out much detail, but they are absolutely every cool thing about the high ace with a Nissan badge on there, which is nice. Some buses, some vans, a Clipper van listed as a 1994. This is 2007 with that face. What else do we have in here? Trucks. Got some old Fairladies. I definitely have featured this one in the past, little Datsun Fairlady. And you'll also notice that this one's left-hand drive. So this was either imported from America to Japan, was Euro spec that stayed here, or just built that way originally and never left Japan. But this one does have a rare sunroof on top too. So that's pretty cool. Another older Fairlady out there, the Datsun version of it. It looks like a Brub, which is pretty cool. One of the OG Datsun Roadsters. These Elgrand vans are also really cool. These are, just big Luxo barge vans that have a lot of cool features. The electronic curtains inside, seats that turn around. It seats 8. Definitely has some reclining seats. The higher trims actually have massaging seats too, like a Crown. So very cool on those. We had this one featured on Rad Ride a little while ago, and my gosh, look at the drip on this thing. The wheels. I know a lot of you don't agree with the wheels. I do. The whole thing just looks sleek, and this is the twin turbo T-top version of it, and it is the 5-speed. So I hope somebody gets what they want out of this thing, because that is just so darn cool. Nissan Fairlady 2x2 1982. That's a good one. Look at this, an orange Figaro. Oh, we're looking at this one. We are going into the Ninja system, and we are looking at an orange Figaro, everybody. I wish I could be posting this one to Rad Ride, because it is extremely rare to see a Figaro that has this kind of paint on it, especially because it looks like it's on Moon Eyes too. Look at that. Just a teeny tiny dent that's smaller than a dime. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at that. We've got a pumpkin orange Figaro with an aftermarket silver top on Moon Eyes. This thing just has presence. Interior looks default. Definitely some sort of a aftermarket dash mat of some kind that's put over the top. Interior definitely needs a refresh at some point in time if you want these seats to get restored. But really, I mean, look at this thing. That's just so cool. I love this. I'm definitely going to be sending this around to some of you later just to enjoy and take a look at this thing because, my goodness, how could you say no to a pumpkin orange Figaro in good condition? Especially one with how many miles on it? 56,000 kilometers? That's nothing. Another Figaro here, the traditional Lapin Gray. It's 3.5C. Definitely got a lot of paint waves on it, so the left side was repainted at some point in time. Might have taken a side swipe. But the interior is definitely, even though the potato quality picks, the seats are definitely in higher quality, even though there's some crazing and a crack right here. This actually isn't super bad for 143,000. This will probably go a little bit on the cheaper side if anyone wants one of these things under 10K. This is a pretty good bet when it comes to this side of things. All right, some trucks. Let's see, K11 March, pretty cool. And then the POW's always very nice. Nothing jumping out at me as something exceptional is this version of it. This one's got some rust and corrosion. I took a look at it the other day, but it does have the canvas top, which is really nice on these things. If you've never driven a POW, please drive a POW. They are truly joyful machines, and I just want everyone to experience one because they're just amazing. Sylvia's Skylines, yawn. Everybody's seen these things. All the good colors are obviously locked behind USS houses, which is meh. It is what it is. But really what I want to get down to is to see some of the tail end of this stuff when we get back into the interesting cars that aren't Skylines and Sylvias. Yeah, like these guys right here. So we're talking the D30s. This one's in excellent condition, all things considered. It's a 3 at 155, but this one just looks so cool, especially because this is the 2000 RS Turbo Edition. Definitely has been messed with a little bit on the interior. Definitely some aftermarket gauges. Nothing drilled into the dash though, oh, except this one. I guess that's an oil temperature gauge. But all told, this one looks pretty good. This looks right out of a Hot Wheels package. So that is definitely something. You know what? We might just feature this one as tomorrow's bonus. Although this is in 2 days, so I might post this one on Thursday instead, or on Friday instead. So we'll see. I always love those old Skylines. They really stand out. We got some Stagias out there. We've got an Autech edition, which is always great. And I just want everyone to appreciate this real quick. The mileage on this one. Look at this. This is not a typo. This is verified. This is 430,000 kilometers on this. And of course, the doors are rotted out with corrosion marks because it is an old Nissan. But this thing's still got an RB26 in it, DET. So still pretty cool. I wouldn't touch something with 430,000 kilometers on there, but it's still an RB26. As we wrap up with the Nissans, we've got some trucks, some of the smaller vanettes, maybe a wing road. Nope, no luck today. And then, of course, with Toyota, I always check 2 things. Altezas, because everybody always wants Altezas, 100% across the board, which is nice. We're actually going to go in on this one tomorrow. It's got a rough exterior, but I do have additional pictures of the interior on this. It is pretty good. So if this is a wrap candidate and everything else works and is mechanically good, we're going to throw in a bid on this one, so that's going to be great. And then the other one that I always look at with Toyota is Sarah, just to see if there's one out there because they're super duper cool. There's this red 4B. I've seen this one prior. I'll open up another Ninja window. Because Sarahs are definitely one of those cars that they're definitely on the downturn of their popularity. And good ones in the higher quality are definitely getting much rarer. This one is a 4B, but I think a lot of that is because it's been professionally repainted, or at least semi-professionally repainted with the W2s in here. The wheels are definitely a choice that I wouldn't go with. But all told, this one looks pretty cool, and you can see this bar in the back. It does have the Super Life sound system, so this is definitely one of the more desirable ones. And I think because of that, they are definitely going to be asking a pretty penny, which is why this one's been listed so often. Last thing I'll always look for in here are going to be the Will VI, because in my heart of hearts, I love these silly things. If you haven't seen a Will VI yet, like, just look at these nutty things. Like, first of all, it's got the reverse rake C pillar. It's got a back seat, but why? A lot of these do have a canvas top on top, and the interior is just of the era, straight up 2000 kind of blobject things. Some things bespoke, some things took off of other models, like the Vitz. A stereo system that they just put in there, even though the dash is brown. It doesn't matter. Let's put a bright, silver kind of console in there, and beige seats. And here's the back seat, which is, again, not even a full back seat. It is basically like a Ryanair kind of seat shelf, it's a back seat, and I'm sure you can fit a human child back there for a short period of time. But I certainly wouldn't want to do that. So definitely kind of a dual income, no kids and a dog scenario, I would imagine. Question mark, but definitely a cool car. So I think that's going to do it for right now. There's definitely some cool stuff out there. I think for tomorrow we're going to do a competition, the Star Wagon versus the Space Gear. Go head to head on these guys. If anyone wants this City Turbo, please let me know because it's awesome. But we're going to have to kick this Daihatsu Midget to a bonus one tomorrow because the Delicas just speak louder. So that's what we're going to do. And if anyone wants to see anything, let me know. I'm going to try to do these weekly from here on in. So thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. If you have anything that you want to see the next time around, or have us hunt specifically, I'll be more than happy to get some of those pictures. I'm always happy to do suggestions on Rad Ride. So if you're looking to get something more uncommon that I can track down over time, or it's just something that's not gonna pop up every day, I can always keep my eyes on it. So there you go, everyone. Thanks for coming in, joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next time.